to broaden prospective investors. Economic ministers announces the Maldives have secured investment commitments.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum and welcome to PSM News in English with me, Abdullah Ahil. And now the news in detail. Maldives hosts a business forum in Singapore seeking to broaden its economic base, drawing more than 200 prospective investors and presenting a comprehensive portfolio of development opportunities to international stakeholders. The Maldives-Singapore Business Forum, convened to mark the 50th anniversary of diplomatic relations between the two nations, was led by President Dr. Mohamed Muiz and attended by several senior Maldivian cabinet ministers. Grace Fu Hai Yen, Singapore's Minister for Sustainability and the Environment, addressed the gathering as guest of honor. The event was framed as part of a wider strategy by the Muiz administration to attract foreign capital and reduce the nation's long-standing dependence on tourism. Officials detailed prospective investment avenues across a range of sectors, including special economic zones, fisheries, maritime services, healthcare, renewable energy, and higher education. Among the marquee initiatives shared with attendees were the Ras Maleh Urban Development and the expansive Gulifalu project. Plans to relocate the Maleh Commercial Port to Tilafushi were also discussed, alongside strategic bunkering and port infrastructure aimed at strengthening the Maldives' regional maritime position. Tourism-focused proposals featured prominently in the presentations. These included a plan to establish a world-class theme park, as well as maritime projects such as the Uligamo Yacht Marina and a dedicated harbor for sport fishing. The healthcare sector was another key area of emphasis. Highlights included the proposed construction of a specialized cancer hospital and a nationwide effort to digitize health services. Opportunities in pharmaceutical manufacturing and tertiary education were also outlined. A formal ceremony during the event marked the 5-decade milestone of Maldives-Singapore relations. President Muiz personally presented commemorative plaques to selected guests in recognition of the long-standing bilateral partnership. The Singapore Forum extended a pattern of similar initiatives by the government to promote international investment. Recent forums in China, the United Arab Emirates, Malaysia, and India reflect a coordinated effort to elevate the Maldives' global economic profile. Singapore's Minister for Sustainability and the Environment, Grace Fu Hai Yen, underscores the shared climate vulnerabilities of Singapore and the Maldives on Monday, calling for deeper collaboration on environmental resilience and expanded investment ties. Speaking at the Maldives-Singapore Business Forum held in conjunction with the official visit of President Dr. Mohamed Muiz, Minister Fu remarked that both nations, as low-lying island states, face acute exposure to climate change impacts. She highlighted their dependence on imported food supplies and limited natural resources, adding that Singapore and the Maldives have long advocated jointly on international platforms to address these common threats. In her address, Minister Fu encouraged Singaporean businesses to explore commercial opportunities in the Maldives, noting that around 50 Maldivian enterprises already operate in Singapore. Evidence, she said, of a solid foundation for expanded cross-border investment. She went on to highlight Singapore's global standing in urban planning, infrastructure development, and digital services, identifying these areas as especially aligned with the Maldives' national development priorities. Stronger cooperation in sustainability, economic policy, and innovation, she added, would serve the long-term interests of both countries. The forum's agenda reflected both a shared interest in policy dialogue and a growing diplomatic rapport, as underscored by the Ministry of Economic Development and Trade, which welcomed the engagement and expressed confidence in its potential to foster lasting partnerships. The ministry described such initiatives as pivotal to attracting foreign capital, driving sectoral expansion, and supporting economic diversification. Minister of Economic Development and Trade Mohammed Saeed announces Maldives has secured investment commitments totaling $680 million for a project within its special economic zones, describing the development as a historic advancement. The investment drive is part of the government's broader objective to attract $1 billion to the zone over the next 5 years. Speaking at the Maldives-Singapore Business Forum, Minister Saeed reaffirmed a central plank of the administration's economic policy, reducing the nation's reliance on tourism and supporting broader sectoral diversification. The minister stated, quote, "The SEZ portfolio currently presents investment opportunities exceeding $680 million across several strategic sectors. These comprise concrete development-ready projects," unquote. The portfolio includes a major renewable energy project already granted approval, underscoring the government's emphasis on sustainable infrastructure. Minister Saeed pointed to continued investor interest in other key areas, particularly tourism, and stressed that these ventures would operate within a stable and transparent commercial framework under Maldivian law. He also spoke to enduring ties between Singapore and the Maldives, describing the bilateral relationship as one anchored in mutual respect. Acknowledging Singapore's long-standing role in Maldivian tourism, he credited both Singapore Airlines and private sector partners for their contributions to the sector's growth. Wrapping up his remarks, Minister Saeed characterized the partnership between the two island nations as a compelling example of how smaller states can achieve substantial economic progress through long-term cooperation and strategic engagement. The government proposes several amendments to the Judiciary Act aimed at further strengthening judicial administration in the country. The proposed amendments, moved by ruling party lawmaker Saudullah Hilmi, refines the code of conduct for judges to ensure the independence and credibility of the judiciary. The bill further details procedures on conducting performance reviews of judges and filing financial statements for more transparency. The bill also refines procedures for transferring judges to other courts and for temporarily assigning the functions of another court. According to the amendment proposed by the government, judges can no longer be involved in any business, have any direct or indirect financial interest in the purchase, lease, or business transaction. Judges will also be mandated to notify the Chief Judge and the Judicial Service Commission, or JSC, of cases exceeding 12 months without a verdict. Currently, the law requires only the Chief Judge of the court to be notified within 6 months. According to the Judiciary Act, each judge is required to submit financial statements to the JSC once every 12 months. However, the proposed amendment requires judges to submit a financial statement of their assets within 3 months of taking office, of the previous year's statement to submit financial statements within 3 months of their resignation. The proposed amendment also mandates judges to file financial statements of immediate family, including spouses, dependent children, and other direct dependents. The Parliament votes to accept the government-proposed amendments to the Thalassemia Control Act designed to further streamline services and thalassemia prevention in the country.
During the Parliament sitting on June 30th, the bill was accepted with 49 lawmakers voting in favor before it was forwarded to the Parliament's Social Committee for review. The proposed amendment is designed to review the criteria of the post of Director General of Thalassemia and Hemoglobinopathies Center and to legally define the responsibilities and duties of the post. The amendment also specifies the regulations for marriage of people who are likely to bear children with thalassemia. According to the proposed amendment to the Thalassemia Control Act, the post of Director General of Thalassemia Center will be a civil service post. The appointment will be made by the Civil Service Commission on the recommendation of the minister. The candidates are required to have at least a National Qualifications Framework Level 8 or 9 qualification in management and 10 years of work experience in the health sector. The DG of the Thalassemia Center can be appointed for a term of 5 years, and the criteria for the post are also detailed in the proposed amendment to the law. The government has added a provision to the Act on Marriage of thalassemia carriers who are likely to bear children with thalassemia. Currently, the law does not have a specific provision on such marriages but carries a clause on voluntary testing for thalassemia. The newly proposed provision states that couples must submit their thalassemia test results when seeking a marriage license. If the couple are considered to have children despite the risk of passing the thalassemia gene, a marriage license can only be granted after completing a specially tailored program that meets the requirements of a regulation made under the law. The new regulations will be formulated and made public within 30 days of the amendment coming into effect.
The government officially launches the National Migrant Health Policy, reaffirming the Maldives' commitment to equitable, inclusive healthcare for all.
The National Migrant Health Policy is designed to ensure the health of migrants living in the Maldives and to facilitate equitable access to health services. The main objective of this policy is to protect and ensure the right to basic health care for foreigners. The policy was officially launched by the Minister of Health, Abdullah Nazim Ibrahim, during a special ceremony held in the capital, Male. Speaking during the ceremony, the Director General of the Health Protection Agency, or HPA, Maimuna Abu Bakr, said this initiative reflects the government's efforts to eliminate discrimination, improve service delivery, and ensure the health of everyone living in the country. According to Maimuna, the policy is based on research, consultations with international stakeholders, and national health priorities. She said the cooperation and assistance of all relevant agencies will be required to implement this policy. Speaking at the ceremony, International Organization for Migration, or IOM Regional Director for Asia, Kato Lori, said the launch of the policy on the health of migrants signals the government's intent to strengthen the healthcare system in the Maldives. The national policy on the health of foreigners is focused on 5 main areas: changing perceptions across government and society as a whole, provide quality health services to foreigners, collect and use valid information, reduce vulnerabilities, and establishment of systems. The Ministry of Health said that with the implementation of the policy, the rights of migrants to basic health care will be fully protected and ensured, along with equitable and inclusive health care for all.
Minister of Health Abdullah Nazim Ibrahim says the National Migrant Health Policy will help build an inclusive, fair, and compassionate health system. Speaking during the ceremony to launch the National Migrant Health Policy, Minister Nazim noted that every sector, every citizen, with migrants being no exception, has a role to play. The National Migrant Health Policy, according to the minister, reaffirms Maldives' commitment to equitable, inclusive healthcare for all. Our foreign workforce are not just workers, they are our caregivers, our neighbors, our friends. Their safety and dignity are not optional. Ensuring equitable healthcare for all is not just a goal, it's our responsibility. According to the Ministry of Higher Education, Labor and Skills Development, 43% of Maldives' workforce are foreigners. A special center and portal have been launched to provide assistance to a large foreign expat population in the Maldives, aimed at ensuring the health and well-being of foreign workers and to address their challenges. The Ministry of Divehi Language, Culture and Heritage says the government is planning a wide array of festive activities for a grand celebration of Maldives' 60th anniversary of independence next month. Speaking to PSM News, the ministry's Director General Atika Ibrahim, the government has planned the celebration with a wide array of colorful and exciting activities spread over 3 days. The Independence Day official reception will be held on the 27th of July at 9 a.m. A parade and route march will be held at 4:15 p.m. In the evening, there will be a fireworks display in the reclaimed suburb Hulumale. On the morning of the 28th of July, the National Award for Public Service ceremony will be held, followed by a parade and road march in Hulumale later in the evening. In addition to the official activities, there will be a photography competition open to the public and an essay writing and drawing competition for school children, Atika said, adding that the ministry is also in talks with the National Center for the Arts, or NCA, to hold a film festival. The official logo for the Maldives' 60th Independence Day has been unveiled, selected from over 30 submissions. Independence Day, celebrated annually on July 26th, marks the day in 1965 when the Maldives gained independence from British colonial rule, which had begun in 1887. Last year, the government had avoided a grand celebration by scrapping the Independence Day float procession and other festivities as part of the austerity measures taken to cut down on government expenditure. Civil Aviation Authority, or CAA, says the new passenger terminal at Valena International Airport, or VIA, is a complete facility that meets international standards and requirements.
In preparation for the July 26th opening of the new terminal, Maldives Airports Company Limited, or MACL, is conducting special tours for relevant stakeholders of the new facility. These are required tours as part of the operational readiness, activation and transition, or ORAT process leading up to the opening of the new terminal. As part of the process, a team from the CAA was shown around the new terminal on Sunday with the ORAT team answering questions from the visiting CAA officials. After the tour, CAA Air Transport Director Abdullah Rashid said that the new terminal is in line with international standards, adding that the new facility will prove to be a major convenience to tourists coming to the Maldives. ORAT is a comprehensive methodology used in the aviation industry, particularly for airports, to ensure a smooth transition from construction phase to full operational status. ORAT helps mitigate risks associated with opening new or redeveloped facilities by thoroughly preparing all aspects of airport operations, including infrastructure, systems, and personnel. The terminal, scheduled to open in conjunction with Independence Day celebrations, is envisioned as a modern high-capacity hub. Staff training and operational preparedness continue apace, forming central pillars of MACL's final phase rollout. The new facility will span 78,000 square meters and is designed to handle up to 7 million passengers each year, representing a substantial increase from the current terminal's annual capacity of 1.5 million. The terminal will have 47 check-in counters designed with locally inspired designs, 6 self-service kiosks, and 24 counters dedicated for seaplane passengers. MACL will initially allocate the new passenger terminal to National Airline Maldivians international passengers.
European shares nudges higher as investors track signs of progress on trade talks ahead of the July 9th deadline for lifting the pause on U.S. President Donald Trump's reciprocal tariffs.
The pan-European STOXX 600 index advanced 0.2% at 544.47 points as of 7:14 GMT, but was on track to log a monthly fall. Other major regional indexes also traded higher. Market optimism over U.S. trade deals got a boost last week on easing U.S.-China trade tensions. Canada on Sunday said it had rescinded its digital services tax to restart stalled talks with the U.S., further lifting sentiment. Meanwhile, the British government said on Monday the trade deal that reduced U.S. tariffs on UK cars and aircraft parts has come into effect. However, the issue of steel and aluminium tariffs remains unresolved.
Turkish authorities were working to contain wildfires in the Aegean coastal province of Izmir on Monday, June 30th, as around 20 houses in the area were engulfed in flames, according to the Izmir municipality.
Firefighters doused the flames from the ground while helicopters and planes dropped water on the wildfire from air. Forestry Minister Ibrahim Yumakli said 4 villages and 2 neighborhoods had been evacuated. Izmir Mayor Semil Tugay said strong winds had caused the fire to spread. HGE added that the fire in residential areas had been mostly contained. The Forestry General Directorate said 4 planes, 14 helicopters and 106 fire trucks had been deployed to contain the wildfire affecting Izmir's Menderes and Seferihisar areas.
Paris Saint-Germain manager Luis Enrique says his team were making history after they brushed aside Inter Miami 4-0 in the Club World Cup last 16.
The French side, who have already won their domestic league, the French Cup and the Champions League, are edging closer to completing a perfect season by lifting the Club World Cup. The reunion with ex-Barcelona players Lionel Messi and Miami coach Javier Mascherano, both central figures during Luis Enrique's Camp Nou tenure between 2014 and 2017, added emotional weight to what was otherwise a clinical dismantling of the MLS side. Flamengo or Bayern Munich await PSG in the quarters.
With temperatures and humidity levels rising across the Gulf, Qatar residents are turning to air-conditioned outdoor areas, beaches and indoor malls.
Public spaces such as Doha's Corniche Promenade were largely empty, with benches, play areas and walking paths unused. But beaches like Lake Tafia still drew visitors, some cooling off in the sea before the most oppressive summer conditions take hold. At the Guban Island, which partially opened late last year, families strolled through a shaded, cooled outdoor zone equipped with greenery and fountains. While Qatar's meteorology department says current temperatures remain typical for the region, high humidity has pushed up the heat index, making conditions feel more extreme.
And that's all the news we have for today. We'll be back with any further updates. Until then, I'm Abdullah Ahil from PSM News.